Hello, this is Amy Lee, also known as the Productive Mama, also known as Teacher Amy Lee in my VIPKid classroom. And today I want to talk about how I do my parent feedback. This is not going to be about the content of my feedback. I will probably do another video on that at some point. This is more about my method and how I do it fairly quickly, and also how so for a long time, I had a handful of regulars, but just a few. I don't teach a ton of hours. And they were pretty regular, so I was able to easily keep track of who they were, where they were in their lessons, what I told the parents, what improvements were needed. But lately, I have been getting more and more regulars, and they're getting harder to keep track of. You know how it is. Sometimes they have the same names. You're not sure which one is which. So I wanted to have a better way to keep track of it myself. So here's the quick and dirty. You can listen to the next little bit and say goodbye if you want to. But number one, I use SpeechTexter to dictate my feedback. I am actually a pretty good typist, thanks to Miss White at St. Mary's Academy. But it is much faster to dictate my feedback. Then number two, I copy and paste that feedback into Trello, and I will show you how I have set that up. I'm really excited about this because Trello has been so helpful. I'll show you how I set Trello up to easily do this. And then number three, I paste the feedback into the VIPKid platform. So that's the basics, but now I'm going to show you a little bit of what that looks like by doing something I've never done before, which is share my screen. So let's see how that goes. Okay, this is SpeechTexter. It only works in Chrome, which should be okay if you are a PC person. In VIPKid, you know they prefer Chrome. So this is where I speak my feedback. Oh, you know what I should do? I should show you that I'm pretty old school when it comes to jotting down notes during class. I have an old-fashioned pen and I have this notebook. And all I do is I write the date, the time of the class, the kid's name, and any little notes that I want to be sure to make note of in my feedback, okay? So that way I'm able to look at my notes, speak them, and it all gets put down into SpeechTexter. So let's go back there. And you just go to SpeechTexter.com and I'll hit start. This is where I write my feedback, period. I will mention things a student needs to work on, period. This still requires editing, comma, as I am particular about the written word, period. And if your student goes by a Chinese name, comma, you will need to type in the name, period. Okay, so then I hit stop, and then I can hit this right here, copy all text to clipboard. Okay, so now I've got, let's see, I usually do have to go back and edit. Let me look here. Oh, I ended with a preposition. I might change that. Okay, so this is fairly decent. So then I hit copy. Then I go to Trello. Let me refresh my Trello. And Trello can be used in so many different ways. It is so flexible. I am using it to help organize youth group, to plan my homeschool co-op middle school literature class. But what I am most excited about was figuring out how I can keep records of my VIPKid feedback. So now, if I haven't seen Celia in a few weeks, I can easily go and see, oh, here's the last thing that we discussed with Celia. I get a little refresher there, and I'm ready to see her in class. Now, if you're already familiar with Trello, you can see here that I have each kid each kid's name as a list on this board. This is my VIPKid parent feedback board, and each kid has their own list. Okay, and I have alphabetized it for my own sake. And then I also have this trials and newbies list. So if I'm seeing somebody for the first time, if I even saw them 3 times, but they were new to me, I might keep them in here until the next month when I will make their own card if it looks like they're going to be a regular. Okay, that is each list. And then each month is a card. So I just started this in July. And if I click on July, here is the feedback for all the new folks in July. Okay? And then when I want to add a new feedback comment, that goes under comments here. Okay? So this comment, what I like about this is that it automatically dates it, so I know when I entered this. So each feedback is a comment. Now what I like to do is, let's see, is this done? You can see here lesson, SN, lesson name. I copy that actually, and I put it at the top of each comment. And that it just, I do that for my own peace of mind. If forever there was any reason I had to go back and figure out what I taught that kid that day, remember the lesson, I just put that right at the very top of my feedback. So let's look at Celia again. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't start doing that, it looks like, with her just yet, but we can see that I did that for Bean. And sometimes I also put the reward. So here, this little girl got a princess reward, just as a reminder to me. Okay, so I went to SpeechTexter. I dictated my feedback. I copied it, and then I put it into the comment in the correct month under that child. Okay, then I go to the feedback platform on the VIPKid platform, and I enter that same feedback there. I just paste it right in. Now, let's come back to me. I do add teacher feedback to every single class because I appreciate good teacher feedback, but my teacher feedback is very short. It is not the same thing I write to the parents. It is usually the reward they had, and the most pertinent information that would help that teacher address any ongoing issues, pronunciations, grammar struggles, and also any personality points that I think would be helpful. I think knowing that a child is shy, needs gentle prodding, be prepared to extend like crazy, really outgoing, rambunctious, but focused, not focused at all, stuff like that. I like to know that, so I want other teachers to know that. And also, when I'm preparing for a class and I bring up student information, I can see the last comments I made about that student. So it's also a very brief reminder to me to expect to extend, to not expect much interaction from the student, to make sure I have a really girly reward, things like that. Okay, so I typically don't need to put that into SpeechTexter because it's pretty brief. Like I said, 2 sentences, sometimes just 1 sentence is what I do for teacher feedback. Okay, I have seen another teacher do something similar. She uses her phone to dictate her feedback. So she uses the app. She opens the app and she puts feedback in there. And then she calls up in the classroom the class material so she can reference them in her feedback. I do the opposite, partly because I think it's really hard to edit on the phone. So I like to edit with the keyboard. But I do call up the slides on my phone. I pull up those class materials if I need to remember anything. I do this mostly with unit assessments because sometimes in the questions I forget, oh, what exactly were they asking there? How did he do on that? And usually if I see the slide again, it jogs my memory how well the student did in that particular assessment point. So yes, that's the basics of it. I'm just going to look at my notes real quick while I talk, see how convenient that is. to make sure I got everything I wanted to say. So yeah, so that is the basic of my method. I don't use Feedback Panda. I did try that free blah blah comments, but it seemed like a lot more work to me. And I am not interested in just retelling what was covered in a class. I really like to give specific things kids can work on, and this lets me do it rather quickly and efficiently while keeping good records for myself. So hopefully this was helpful to you as an option for your feedback. And if you have any tips that might help me make this process even more efficient, I'm definitely open to hearing about that. But go try SpeechTexter, check out Trello. I will put those links below, and have a great day.